Hi guys. So I received an email from EcoWatch and I'm just going to read you a bit about an important environmental story to be following this year, meaning 2020, about drinking water. After the federal government dropped the ball in 2019 under Donald Trump, of course, we expect to see another push this year in 2020 for meaningful action to limit the harm caused by PFAS. Now, PFAS, it has a long, complicated name, so I'm not even going to try and say it, but it's basically toxic forever chemicals that stubbornly don't break down in the environment or our bodies, and they are dangerous chemicals. Now, they can be found in thousands of consumer and industrial products, including non-stick. So it can be found in non-stick pans, waterproof clothing, stain-resistant furniture, food wrappers, personal care goods, and firefighting foam. They've been linked to cancer, liver damage, and reproductive and immune system problems. Millions of Americans are believed to be drinking contaminated water with PFAS, including the residents of 175 military installations, and the dangerous chemicals have been found in soil and food too. After federal agencies did nothing substantial on the issue, it looked like there might be congressional action, but that didn't happen. So basically, we're waiting now until 2020, and hopefully the Democrats have vowed to take up the issue again this year, and advocates want to see a federal standard strict enough to protect. So I'm looking now at a newspaper, online newspaper called cleanwater.news. And I found an article which I think is quite interesting, really. China is the world leader in plastic waste, carbon dioxide emissions, and heavy metal pollution. Yet somehow emotionally wrecked leftists blame America for everything. Okay, so just in case you thought America was the biggest and worst culprit, it's actually not. I just want to read a little bit more from this article here. So, the biggest destroyer of the earth on so many levels is China, contributing almost 3 times more plastic waste than the second place polluter, which is Indonesia, which also just so happens to be in Asia, and which also happens to be nowhere near North America. In fact, the top 10 worst polluting countries in the world are all in Asia, with the exception of 2, which are in Africa. So, that's quite interesting, I thought. Okay, guys, so unfortunately, I don't have any real good news about this clean drinking water story today. I'm only harping on about, really nasty things. But anyway, this is part of what, the channel is about. So, in this article here, they're talking about how the water is being contaminated by pharmaceuticals. And basically, people are flushing their excess pills down the drain, and that contaminates the water. A lot of nursing homes are doing this, and they're doing it excessively. And drug manufacturing plants are also responsible for huge volumes of drugs entering the freshwater systems. Agriculture is another massive source of contamination. So the agriculture industry is also another massive source of contamination. 2 trillion pounds of animal waste generated by large-scale poultry and livestock operations in this country is laced with hormones and antibiotics fed to animals to make them grow faster and to keep them from getting sick. Inevitably, some of these hormones and antibiotics leach into not only the waterways but also groundwater. So basically, there has to be a very, very good system of cleaning all of this contaminated water before they put it into our pipes and give it to us to drink. This is going to be the solution for that. A very good antibacterial, antiviral, clean drinking water system. read you the last few sentences from this article. Of particular concern is the fact that antibiotics in fresh water could accelerate the already catastrophic increase in antimicrobial resistance, which is creating untreatable superbugs. Of course, while pharmaceuticals continue to be a multi-billion-dollar business, the biggest business on the planet, in fact, there is very little chance that levels of pharmaceuticals in our freshwater sources will start decreasing anytime soon. I think, in poorer countries like the country I'm living in, Morocco, people generally they don't take a lot of medicines, a lot of tablets and that kind of thing simply because they cannot afford it. And I think that in first world countries, this is an article about, what's happening in America. So I think that, if you are able to cut down on your medications, don't just go and buy things because you can afford to buy it. Think about the impact that those medications are going to have on the environment if you are not using them and you're simply just flushing it down the toilet when it expires or you don't need it anymore. I think that is one of the ways that you can help the environment by not necessarily running out and buying something, but thinking about, do you really need it? And yeah, because that's how we do things here in Morocco. Um, we all can learn something from each other. And I would say, that is what definitely others can learn from the poor countries. You don't necessarily have to have all of that medication. You can certainly do a lot without it and only buy something unless it's absolutely necessary. These big pharmaceutical companies, I don't quite think that they deserve all of the income that they are making because they overcharge for what they're selling most of the time. But if you have to have it, if you need it and you are able to afford it, by all means, go and, get it if it eases your pain.